Transporting people and goods has been a key issue for a long time. As transportation becomes better in transporting greater amounts of people and goods, other problems occur. Exponentially growing humankind wants to move both themselves and stuff, causing pollution and consuming loads of raw material. Let's take some statistics. Looking at the number and the forecast of vehicles all around the world, starting from 2005 up to 2035, the number of vehicles is growing everywhere, but in India and China it will be booming. The quality of the air in Asia, measured in certain factors, is not and will not be at the optimal level for quite a while. Air quality is improving, but the change is slow. Because of the booming number of vehicles, the CO2 situation does not look that hopeful. Again, especially in Asian countries, we can't let the current situation continue forever. Global warming is not the only problem. The stage of development forms the built environment itself, and often into an unpleasant direction. Let's ignore the pollution for a second and dive into Tokyo as an example. Many people prefer private cars, and the only option for companies is to deliver goods on wheels. The city planners have believed in road transportation, and in Tokyo's case, build layers upon layers of roads. People get stuck in cars, high above the pedestrians that enjoy the concrete view that hides the sky and the sun. There might be some excitement in urban extremes of Tokyo for some, but we have to ask ourselves, is this what we want? The fact is that ever-growing cities will not be able to use the same technologies we use now. They may work well in the current situation, but further expanding the system would bring a heavy burden on the earth. Still, regardless of all concern about nature, we have to plan cities and transportation designs for real people. Saying this, who are we? An international group of master students of design at Aalto University, Finland. A few Finns are accompanied by people from Belgium, Italy, India and China. Luckily enough, Aalto University had a personal contact with the DYP-DC, a design school in Pune, India. The city itself is a perfect example of a fast-growing city. In just a few decades, the current city of 3.5 million residents has around doubled itself, with an infrastructure left far behind by the economical base growth. Pune still lacks much of the traffic planning many other cities of the continent has achieved. Public transportation barely exists, and the situation forces people to make their own way around. Most traffic happens on private 2, 3 or 4-wheelers. Let's take an example citizen, thinking how to move around. Not having too much money, moving happens by walking. With little more money, moving eases a bit of buying a bicycle. Some extra money again encourages him or her to buy a motorized 2-wheeler. A wealthy person naturally buys a car, and what happens next we can then imagine. Let's press the rewind button back to the point with the person thinking how to move around. We are asking, is there any other way? What if we could totally redefine the transportation? It's very hard to imagine where to begin. For a starting point, we have to deal with something concrete. To have something concrete, we split the brief into 3 layers. That also loosely describes the view in terms of elevation. The system layer takes the transportation designer up to the sky to look at the city as a whole. This layer could also be called urban planning. It's about looking into geography and the flows of goods and people, trying to understand the essence of the ever-moving city. There is a term that has influenced our thinking about systematics on the up layer, TOD, Transit-Orientated Development. We share the idea to take the need to move as a starting point of city planning and taking transportation system as one big organism. Both people and goods have to be moved around. The easiest way to begin is by finding the hotspots, their meanings and connections between them. As one finds the right spots to use as TOD hotspots, it appears the inside city moving happens in many lengths and masses. By mass we mean the amount of people and goods varies depending on the situation. To simplify the thinking, length can be thought as short, mid and high distance journeys. Special care has also to be taken to achieve a seamless flow between all 3 transportation factors. But how is Pune looking in these terms? Pune has a big number of rickshaws, Indian light taxis in different forms. They usually drive short distances and take a few people. For mid-distance and capacity we have buses, but they lack a system and are not too many. For high distance and capacity, Pune has a plan for metro. This we took as a starting point. The thing our concept tries to offer is the systematical approach to make the whole system visible for both city planners and single users. As we already had a planner's view to the thing, let's think how it looks on the user's perspective. In Pune, the pollution used to be so high that one reason to buy a car was to avoid the poisonous air at the worst times. Our scenario looks at several decades to the future, to the time where most pollution has gone because of the improved transportation. How does one move in the ideal Puneverse? The example guy starts his day by having a sporty time at the central car-free area. Just a few years back, nobody did this to avoid their lungs getting black. As he heads for the daily work, he is happy to be able to walk to the metro station. Both metro and the walking distance to the station is enabled by the enhanced holistic city planning. Also, the office is now inside the specific walking distance from the metro stop. Talking about the metro, Pune has just become a pilot city for testing new means of logistics of goods. Stuff from the special storehouses at the outer city are now brought to many stores in the same metro trains that people use. Special coaches enable the fast loading. To come back to the scenario, Mr. Example takes the metro back home, where he does his shopping. The rickshaw gets him home because he's carrying lots of things. But the rest of the day he spends with his friends, having a long supper. The restaurant again is a bit far away, at an area reachable by bus. A friend lives nearby the restaurant, and Mr. Example has to deliver her a pile of things. Thanks to the new two-deckers, he can take a big carrier with him to the ground floor. Seats are found only at the second floor, and luggage of all sizes are found on the first floor. Now Mr. Example is glad, having a happy ending for his scenario. Thanks for following, folks. Oh, one more thing. The work we did with Pune as an example city is hopefully just the beginning. Awareness of the need to do something for the current transportation system seems to be raising around the globe. The issue is that it's hard to avoid overlapping. Companies naturally don't want to share all their business secrets, and even the scientific community is not always able to communicate everything. Aalto University has many transportation-related projects going on, and not everybody knows about them. To avoid this, we've put up a website. The meaning of this site is to start a link together Aalto's sustainable transport projects. If you become interested, feel warmly welcome to get involved. www.redefiningtransportation.com